Hello and welcome to Squares TV Application Lab number 23. It's the second one on YouTube. It's the 23rd weekly hour-long session. We're trying to keep it to 45 minutes. Where we talk about Shoot, we talk about Beat Sheet, we talk about Video Pencil, and basically my sort of network, my suite of apps that I've made. Hello, John Michael Melendez from Florida. How are you doing today? Today we're going to talk about everything you can do to stand out on Zoom with my app. So I'm going to be quite focused on the sort of simplest possible way that you can do a lot, and that sort of it largely revolves around Video Pencil Camera and the way that connects with Shoot, and it connects with Video Pencil and Beat Sheet. So we'll get into all of that. And if you have anything else that you're hoping to cover, then I'll be keeping an eye on Zoom. I'll be keeping an eye on chat. It's a quiet Zoom this week, so so we'll see if anyone joins the breakout room. That's an after hours thing. Don't worry about that. If you don't know what that is, the live stream chat is just as good. So today, once again, I'm running my camera and mic through my new BeatSheet Studio app. It's still alpha-ish. It may crash. If it does crash, I'll freeze, I'll go quiet, I'll be back in a few seconds. I've just got to like run it again, so don't panic. So another thing which I'd love some like if anyone notices something, basically like my web host, my domain host for squares.tv sent me an email going, oh, do you want to upgrade your email a few weeks ago? And I was like, yeah, sure. And now it's like, oh, my DNS records might not be right, or my DMARC or DKIP. So basically, if you try and email me and it bounces, please let me know. If I email you and it's got like an exclamation mark, or it says it's like it goes to spam or not trusted or something, please let me know, because I need to sort that out. Because yeah, it's just moved. I see we've got a couple of people on Zoom now as well. So first I'll just cover what I got up to last week. So something I did do after last week's session, we had a few questions from Zoom, and I just wanted a button on my Stream Deck that I can press and it will bring the audio from Zoom. So not the video, you don't have to see everyone's like full names, the tiles on the grid, but if someone was asking a longer question, we can just bring in the audio. So what that meant was basically hooking into Apple's screen capture kit. So there's no sort of, so this will be in BeatSheet Studio when that comes out. So what that meant was hooking into Apple's screen capture kit, and you can take the video and you can take the audio. So it just like only takes the audio from the window, and it can do that without any of this like audio hijack, installing something special, virtual mic, any sort of extra stuff. It just does that in the system way. And then yeah, just I had to do a fair bit to get the editing on the Stream Deck editor so that you can pick which window you want. It brings the icons through, it puts those onto the Stream Deck, and it like knows whether it's currently muted, so you can just hit the button mute, unmute, and so you can bring in audio from like whatever app. So it could be the music app on your computer, it could be the Zoom app, and so that's going to be really easy to do with BeatSheet Studio. So that's something I just did on my free swim day on Friday. The next thing, I've spent a lot of time on performance on BeatSheet Studio. Again, not available yet. Something I really noticed, it was really sort of the scrolling was really clunky. And just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like, here is, and let's go to demo mode. If we go to demo mode, okay, so here is the thing. Now, before, this scrolling was not smooth, but now the scrolling is smooth. So that's the short description of what's happened there. So what it was, I'll just give you a quick quick explanation of what I did there. Basically, the original beat sheet was built on, Apple's got this really easy to use component called a list, which just gives you, some rows. But that's built for like tons and tons of rows. So it reuses each of these. It sort of brings that out. Once that's gone off the top, it'll reuse it down here. The trouble is, the way BeatSheet works is it doesn't have that many rows, but each of the cards is sort of quite on the heavy side. It's doing a lot. So it just meant that it was like re-rendering, rebuilding the whole thing, copying these cells around. So as he was scrolling, it was doing way, way too much work. So I've rebuilt it so it just uses a normal like scroll view, and it just keeps those. And when that goes off the top of the screen, it sort of stays around. Trouble is, the reason I didn't originally do this was because stuff like being able to select rows and move them around, it gave you that for free, and that's just meant I've had to program that now. Keyboard shortcuts, navigation, all the kind of stuff that you just the way you expect stuff to work, I've had to do that by hand in BeatSheet Studio. So and those changes will also be in BeatSheet. So I'm going to be pushing out a new version of BeatSheet. Actually, if there is anyone that does want to beta test the BeatSheet, I'm a little worried, like there may have been a little, I just need to check that. I need to live with it for a bit longer to make sure that I haven't broken anything that was given for free before. But it does sort of massively improve the performance on BeatSheet Studio. So the next thing, I've been thinking about that UX. So in BeatSheet Studio, again, this is what I'm working on, and the new thing that's coming. I had a bit of a breakthrough today with how that's going to work. I've gone through a couple of iterations. If you've been in the labs, you'll have seen some versions of it. I've realized what that needs to feel like, and I think like once I'm on the verge of I've got a bit of work tomorrow, and I think that's going to be looking right. I think it's getting to the end of June, but I do want to have a beta out for the end of next week, and I think I'm just about at that point where it's solid enough that people can start trying it out. And honestly, like, I'm so excited about it. It's going to be so sort of easy to use. It's going to be so simple to use, and it's going to give you so much just out the box. But it's going to still feel really approachable and really straightforward. So that's something I'm really excited about. So now we will get on to the main subject of today's session, which is, hey, how do I make thumbnails? I put a picture in BeatSheet, I put a title, and I take a screenshot of me going, I don't love these goofy thumbnails, but in a way they're the easiest thing. But anyway, what can you do to stand out on Zoom, Teams? What have we got here? That's Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, WebEx. Just, stuff that maybe doesn't warrant a full OBS or Ecamm Live. There's still so much you can do with the stuff I'm bringing to the table. So I'm going to go through some of those things you can do. So first up, your camera. Of course, like Shoot gives you a better webcam. Why don't you want to use the built-in camera on your laptop because it's just bad. Like I mean, this isn't a direct comparison, but like this is what my laptop webcam looks like. And like I have to alter my laptop angle. I can't adjust it. I can't zoom in. The color's awful. Even with like decent lighting, it's pretty terrible. This is like a Canon R6, so this is this is going to be much nicer. But like Shoot gives you, the camera on your phone is just, it's just better than the camera on your laptop. It's just because your phone is a camera. You carry it around with you and you take pictures with it, right? So that's why the phones have much better cameras. And so you want to use that with your on your calls if you can. One way to do that with is obviously with continuity camera. There's a way to do that, but I found even straight away using continuity camera that I just wanted to like crop in a bit because my background only reached a certain distance, and at that point you're sort of like there's nothing you can really do. And if you want to adjust the color, you want to adjust the white, the white balance and all those kinds of things, you can start to do that. And so you can adjust things from your Apple Watch, from Shoot Studio in a browser on your Mac. So it gives you a lot of control over that image. And of course, with Shoot, you can also pick which camera on your device you're using as well. You don't have to use the back one; you can use the front one, and that unlocks some other features. Also, you've got a bit more control where you put that camera. It doesn't just have to be attached to the screen. So that I find useful. As I mentioned, like cropping in it's just like a really basic thing, just being able to crop in a little bit. And obviously, if you're using OBS, Ecamm or something, you can sort of do that in those apps. But like I just wanted an easier way to do that, and Shoot just gives you that little zoom feature. You also get, the sort of portrait effect, so you can sort of blur your background, get that depth of field thing. You can either use Apple's one just by selecting that in your the menu that comes down. What do they call it? The menu that comes down when you swipe down. Control panel, control center. You can turn it on for the camera when it's using Shoot, or Shoot actually has a built-in portrait effect, which I made before Apple sort of opened that up, and it's a bit more manual control. You can sort of set like the distance a bit more. You can set the blur level, which you can't do on Apple's one. You can also have presets. So if your camera has different, like if you've got your camera set up for a certain environment, you can store that as a preset within Shoot, or like even if it will just remember that preset when you come back to it, which is not always the case coming back to a camera app. But really, like what's going to help you work really well in Zoom is Video Pencil Camera. Now, this is a Mac app. It's free. It's in the Mac App Store. So you search for Video Pencil Camera in the Mac App Store, and it's something you put on your Mac, and it creates a virtual camera that you can select in Zoom, in Teams, in your other apps. And it deals with a lot of, it's a hub really of functionality that helps you do an awful lot. And that's sort of how you're going to be able to do a lot of what we're talking about. So it is a Mac app. I don't have a Windows thing. If you saw the email that went out today, Shoot Kit I've open sourced the framework for bringing in the feed from Shoot for connecting to Video Pencil. I am on the lookout for like Windows developers or even like an OBS Mac developer that wants to integrate Shoot. Like now that there's an open source plugin framework for it, it would be possible to write an OBS plugin that just natively supports Video Pencil or natively supports Shoot. So hopefully in the future, but for now on a Mac, Video Pencil Camera, and that could also be ported over to Windows. They can see what the code is. But yeah, for now it's on a Mac, Video Pencil Camera, and it's free. So with Video Pencil Camera, which we will paraphrase to VPC because otherwise my line breaks are ugly in my titles, it connects with Shoot automatically, wirelessly, or it'll use the USB cable if it's there. It's a zero pain connection to Video Pencil to Shoot, and also like lets you select which of the cameras on Shoot that you want to use. It just transparently connects to Video Pencil as well. So if you just draw, that's gonna just come straight through into your feed. Right, you don't have to do any extra configuration. Just use the Video Pencil camera as your source in Zoom. You're just going to get that. And like once you're used to firing up Video Pencil, Video Pencil camera, it lives in your status bar. You can drop it down. You can see a preview. You can sort of control which camera from there, or you can bring it up into its own window. But yeah, it will connect that, and it will expose this camera extension feed. It also lets you share your screen. So if you want to share your desktop, you don't have to ask for permission on Zoom or anything. It sort of handles a lot of remote controls and connectivity between the different apps. So it's actually creating like network connections between Shoot, Video Pencil, BeatSheet. It's sort of like it's the center of how you do a lot of that stuff. And then it's got aside 3D, so it's got this sort of fun effect where we can just sort of move what we're presenting aside and bring it back, and that's built into Video Pencil Camera as well. And that is just enough of a wow factor for people. So you can sort of put whatever, like if you're sharing your screen down here, if you're talking to someone, you can show that you're looking at them, on your camera. Or if you're reading something they just sent you, you can sort of share your screen and just put it down in the corner and be scrolling up through that. And that's something, like that's something I will. Like if I just shared my screen now, in fact, you would be able to see that, that like I'm scrolling through a document, I'm sort of opening up things. You can see what I'm doing, but like it's not sort of interfering with our ability to sort of directly, see each other. And then Shoot with Video Pencil Camera. Again, you just launch Shoot and it'll be available. Watch out if you do have continuity camera when you're using Shoot with Video Pencil Camera, because your phone will show up. Like mine shows up, Michael's iPhone 13 Pro, like it shows up in the drop down, and then there's Shoot on Michael Forrest. And I made it have an icon, so it's a bit easier to sort of spot the difference. But if you accidentally select continuity camera and your phone's sort of over there, then it is going to just like kick Shoot off and just like take over the phone, and then you're going to have to go and grab your phone and disconnect to get Shoot back. And so I would say probably if you like Shoot, and there are good reasons to use Shoot over continuity camera, I would just probably disable it. I haven't, because I need to test with it and stuff, but probably just to avoid accidentally switching to the wrong one. I mean, you can still just talk and it can be continuity camera, but you'll lose the ability to sort of adjust your settings and stuff. You can use your Apple Watch to control Shoot. You can zoom in, you can select different presets, you can like turn on, select which source, you can do all that stuff. So if you're sort of here, it's easy to frame yourself. And then with Shoot Studio, which is a browser-based remote control way, you can just like have a browser on your computer and zoom in and crop it and do all the stuff from there. So you can be in position and you can be adjusting stuff. And then of course, like if you want to, and then it's got a teleprompter. It's Shoot with Video Pencil Camera, like. Well, this is more with BeatSheet, but what you can do with Shoot Studio, if you're using Shoot as your camera, you've got the front-facing camera, you can actually sort of throw text onto the phone screen where you're looking, and that could be really useful in a situation where you're working with someone else and they want to sort of be able to manage what you're seeing, and that could be done over the internet even. So someone somewhere else could be feeding you lines and you could be seeing them on Shoot, and you could be like just sort of giving them to the camera. So that's just a really powerful use case. If you wanted to try that, that's available with Shoot and Shoot Studio. And then if you want to add a second camera, it's really cool. Like you can just I mean, if you're like, I'm not using Shoot on for my main camera today, but I can what can I point it at? If I was like, hey, do you want to see my synth? I can just go to the menu, hit the drop down, and switch, Shoot on Michael's iPhone 13, and there we are. Like we're straight onto the other camera. Oh, look at the stuff that I've got, and then I can just be like, come back to my normal video feed, and we're back. So it's that easy to quickly show something. And something else we can do, while we are sharing, and I will demo this because it is fun. Say we've got, well, let's have oops, let's have Swoop. If we turn on, I can draw, I can start sort of annotating that. I can, if it's a bit sort of bumpy, I can hit with 2 fingers and that will freeze the image, and then I can draw and do whatever and sort of change color. I could, if the contrast was a bit low, I could darken the background so that you could see. That's, I could darken the background. That's something you can do, and you can double tap to clear, like press like 2-finger tap to unpause, and you can do live titles, and that will come over as well. So you've got those capabilities. If you just wanted to bring in a second camera, you can do that. You can just have shoot, and just select that in Video Pencil Camera's drop down menu. And then, so Video Pencil, of course, Shoot works on iPad as well, but it's sort of made to be an iPhone app more than an iPad app. Although if you did have an iPad, you could bring that in the same way, and maybe that's a nicer surface to draw on. Video Pencil, if you're not aware, is something that lets you draw on your iPad, and that's how we can do this. And then to use that with Video Pencil Camera, literally just launch it on your iPad. It's going to be connected. It's going to be there. So like, even if you start a call, you just think of something that you think, oh, I'd just be able to, like, it would be so much easier if I could sketch this. You can literally just like launch Video Pencil on your iPad, and it's going to just start coming through straight away. No more configuration. You also get a camera preview, so you can see what your audience or the other person is seeing. So that can be quite useful if you've maybe just got a laptop screen and you don't have a lot of window space. You can actually sort of see what's going out. You can use it as a monitor. You can switch cameras. So I can say for some reason I wanted to show my FaceTime camera. I was down like maybe a little bit away from the main thing. Like I can actually like select a different camera on my computer. So if I could just go FaceTime camera here, and that's going to, oh, it's not, because that's yeah. Technically I'm not running Video Pencil Camera. I'm running BeatSheet Studio, which is an evolution. But in Video Pencil Camera, that would have switched the camera. So you can switch cameras from your iPad. You can load images in. So I can go into my media library on my iPad, and I can sort of bring in, some whatever complicated diagram that I have. So this is a video. This shows you some stuff, and I can sort of, hide that again. Oh, it did go to FaceTime HD camera. Let's just bear in mind, I am on beta software. I'm seeing some issues. I may have to come in and out again. You can load pictures, you can load videos. So if you can sort of organize your library on your iPad and have all these different things. And you can even have those videos play and pause at certain points. So you can actually sort of almost treat those as presentations, and they can just be coming entirely from the iPad. And of course, you can be drawing on top of that. You can organize your video library, as well. You can set what the thumbnails. So you've got your big. So basically, all of the recent media that you've loaded will show up in your media picker as sort of recent items. You can rename those. You can change the thumbnails on those, and then it makes it really easy to get back to stuff if you want to reuse something, and you can sort of structure that a little bit. So if you've got a lot of content that you want to access, it's quite easy to do it on the iPad. If that's the situation, is it makes it quite useful if you are sort of like focused here. I think it would be easier if I had a microphone, like a lav mic. I would be able to move around a bit more, but I'm sort of having to stay up here to be near my big USB microphone. Live titles. So live titles are available in Shoot and Video Pencil. I dropped my pencil. I always drop my Apple Pencil. So live titles is just this thing I created that lets you add text by just drawing an underline and just talking. So you can go hello, right, and that will just appear on the screen, and you can sort of move that around and do whatever. Like and I get distracted by chat every time. You can, so if you're scrolling a diagram and you want to say this is this, instead of sort of going, shoot and sort of trying to scroll that on, you can just go shoot and shoot and sort of label your diagrams that way. And it takes a little bit of practice. It's sort of like made for a live situation, made for a performance. So you have to learn how to use it a little bit. But once you get the hang of it, it's a really useful way of having like an extra level of stuff that you can do. If you have like technical problems on a Zoom call, the other person doesn't have sound, you don't have sound, they can't hear you. It's actually a really good way of being able to communicate. You go, I can hear you, right? Like, oh, I can't hear you. Like, I can hear you clearly, right? I think my mic is broken, right? Like, you can sort of put notes directly in there. You don't have to find chat. You don't have to sort of, they might not know where chat is if you're talking to someone that's not fully familiar with the software. Like, it's a really good way of just sort of sending messages to each other. You can do this. I see this a lot. I quite like this. So if there's a big grid of people on Zoom, like you can have you might you if you don't want to turn your mic on, but you want to thank the speaker, you can just do a like thanks, right? And you can just put that up and they'll see that in the grid of thumbnails. And that can be a really nice thing to do. So like they can see, oh yeah, cool. Because you can sort of do that. You can put icons, you can put emojis, but this gives you a bit more, a different way of expressing yourself. And you can personalize it. You can change the fonts. So I have a couple of different fonts. I mean, I don't have to show this, we can have like a fun font. You can do different things with the fonts. You can actually like do some editing and interesting stuff there. And then just like a pro tip, especially if your mic's off, if you say the punctuation, it will show up. So if you go thanks exclamation mark, then you get the thing that you wanted, because it's not really listening to your tone that much. So that's this is stuff you can do with live titles, and that works on Video Pencil and Shoot. So next up, screen sharing, and this is kind of coming back to Video Pencil Camera. So you can share your screen on Zoom, on Teams, on whatever. You don't have to sort of go through the rigmarole of getting permission or who's the host or any of that. Like you can just share your desktop. And unlike a normal screen share, where it's sort of just your window and it sort of maybe puts a grid in the corner, like you've got a lot more control over that. You can put it in a side, like you can draw over it, you can do different things, but you can also zoom and pan, so you can sort of zoom into the bit that you want to show. You don't have to like so it doesn't have to sort of send it at this massively increased resolution. So when Zoom does a screen share, it's like switching video codecs so that it's getting a a more kind of less change happening frame to frame, so it can do it at a higher resolution. But then that's not the same thing that you want when you've got someone on camera. This lets you kind of send it down the same camera, because you can just zoom in on the content that you want to show. It's no problem. You can draw on the screen share using your iPad, so you can just start annotating what's on that desktop as you're talk people through it, and say, here's this button is here, this thing is down here. So you do 1, you do 2, and you can take people through that content more naturally. And you can also you've got your laser pointer as well, so you can like sort of point at things, and that's maybe a little bit more visible than a mouse cursor sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm not on Do Not Disturb. I wonder, I'm sort of tempted to just quickly jump in and out of BeatSheet Studio to try and get my resolution back, but maybe it's fine. BeatSheet. So BeatSheet's a Mac app. It's directly through Squares TV, and it's basically sort of smart. It's like a cue card system, just to help you like plan your calls. So it's like card prompts, and the way I use it is in my teleprompter, so I can see what I need to say, and I can structure the call. I can remember if there's something I particularly need to say. But it can be really useful if you have a bit of structure to a call. So it might not just be a casual thing. It might be it could be an interview. It could be like an earnings call or something like that, some sort of corporate thing. So BeatSheet helps you to sort of structure that, make sure you don't forget anything, and also like bring in it helps you prepare. It's nice and zippy to use, so it's a way of writing notes that's just like snappy, and it sort of makes it easy. I mean, it makes it so easy for me to prepare for these demos. Like I just sort of create a BeatSheets document or copy and paste, save as last week's, and delete the bits that were specific there, and just start writing in what I want, and then when it looks about the right length, we're ready to go. It connects to Video Pencil Camera, so that's in a number of ways, which we'll get into, and it can add titles. So that's where these titles are coming from. Like I don't have to set up some PowerPoint presentation, keynote presentation, screen share, anything like that. It's literally I just edit the text in the BeatSheet document and it comes through, and you get titles, you can put images in, and you can put bullet points in. So each of these bullets, that's coming from BeatSheet. So it's like a really simple presentations, but like really when you're in the center of it, when you're the person there, you don't need complex slides. But of course, like if you do want to do that, you can prepare the assets as images and just throw them into BeatSheet that way as well. But this just gives you a lot more flexibility, and you're sort of not dragging and dropping text boxes and right clicking and doing any of that, or like the font changes or any of that. Like it just you can type it in and it's going to be there. with Video Pencil Camera, like Video Pencil Camera automatically sees beat sheets running, brings in the slides. So like what, Video Pencil Camera is, it's created this, it's got this virtual webcam. So we're doing a little angled thing. So it's sending this virtual webcam. It's looking for shoot cameras. It can bring in shoot, so it can add like shoot. So that can be your shoot layer. It's checking if beat sheet is running, so it can take beat sheet and add your titles and graphics and images, and if checks if Video Pencil is running, so it puts your drawings on the top of all that. So it's just doing the right thing without you having to like configure anything. It's just doing it's just bringing everything together in a really seamless way. It just lives in your menu, and there's a couple of settings and it does picture in picture. It does all this kind of stuff that you would expect. When I share my screen, it puts me in a bubble. Like when I come back out, we can do a side, we can come back and forth. It's sort of encapsulates the best practices that have come out of sort of the streaming software world for in particular for like Zoom calls. You can control Video Pencil Camera from BeatSheet, so you could have it as you're going through a document, like switch to a different camera, switch to a different like screen share. You could have it like load a video on the iPad. So there's all these different ways that you can sort of control your sequence, and yeah, so that unlocks a lot of that. That sort of takes the it makes it feel a lot less stressful, because you know that it's going to load up the right video at this point. You're not going to be like fiddling around trying to find it, and so that can be really useful. And the fact that it can actually like communicate with the iPad, load it onto the iPad is really even more powerful. And then if you have a Stream Deck, you can navigate BeatSheet. Like I'm using a foot pedal to step through my slides today. You can trigger a screen share. Like you can trigger it like to show your desktop. You can trigger an iPad video from the Stream Deck. You can set that up, and that just hits a URL, opens Video Pencil Camera. Video Pencil Camera communicates with the iPad. Like there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but you press a button, it loads that video. You can like clear, if you're drawing on the iPad, that you can have a button on your Stream Deck that will clear that drawing. You can make it pick different tools. So basically there's a load of stuff inside Video Pencil Camera that unlocks remote control across all the different apps. So as long as that's another reason to have Video Pencil Camera running. It just like sort of lets you do all that. And of course you can have it trigger aside 3D. So I'll just hit the foot pedal. I pressed back. We can sort of bring that in and out. That's a bit strange, isn't it? Okay, so and just to sort of tell you, like the way I've got my Stream Deck, so I've literally got a Stream Deck Mini. It's got 6 buttons and a foot pedal. So my Stream Deck has my next for BeatSheet, which I'll press now. It has my main camera, so I can quickly switch back to my main camera. It has a button to show desktop, which will just go to a desktop share. It has a button to like show if I've got an iPad connected and I want to demonstrate the iPad. It will just bring that in. And it's got a button to like clear whatever slide, which I'll press now. So that you can just sort of like clear the slides out of the way at a moment's notice if that's what you want to do. And then on my pedal, there's 3 buttons. There's like a big one in the middle. So the big one is the BeatSheet Next. The left one is the back button on BeatSheet. And then the other one is the side 3D button. So that's sort of a rundown of all the different things you can do. But really what it comes down to is like get Video Pencil Camera and start using that as your camera on calls, and you're going to unlock all of this stuff, and you're going to find so much more ways to express yourself on these calls. So the stars of the show are Video Pencil Camera. So that's in the Mac App Store. It's free, and you install the camera extension through there. So it has to be running for the camera to work, but like then you can just bring that into other apps, and that's going to connect to all the other ones. So Shoot Pro Webcam, search for that on the iPhone or iPad App Store. That runs on your phone. That lets you use your phone as a webcam, whatever. Video Pencil, that's an iPad app. Have a look for that in the iPad App Store. Technically, it does also work on the desktop, but on the Mac. But for this situation, like you're using it on your iPad. And BeatSheet is a Mac app, and that's a direct thing through Squares.tv. So that's a Stripe payment instead of an App Store payment. So it's a slightly different model, but like it lets me move in different ways and sort of do things that might not be quite possible through the App Store distribution. So That's about the size of my presentation. I can't believe that was half an hour. So I'm gonna I'm gonna go over to questions and I'm gonna see what's in chat. I did see one thing. Hi, Jürgen. So Jürgen says, "Is there maybe I say Jürgen? Is there a way for the HUD window to increase? Well, let's put it. Is there a way for the HUD window to increase the width so more text can be visible?" Um, I guess I kind of fixed the width of the text on there for whatever reason. You can make it bigger, but I don't think I have a way to change like the width. Oh, do I? Let me just put some. I haven't got any text on this HUD window. This is some text, so I'm just gonna. So I can. You can change the size of it, but yeah, it's in a fixed width. Um, if you stick a request on Discord, um, I think I just need to make when you make the text bigger. It's weird, isn't it? Like maybe it should be proportional to the window size instead of a fixed width. So that's something I can look at. But stick it on the Discord feature requests for Beat Sheet, and I'll get to it. It shouldn't be too hard to change. So if anyone's got any thoughts, questions, that I know that was a lot. Hopefully, a lot of it you already knew, but maybe not. If anything was news, or maybe if you want to know how to actually do some of this stuff, like feel free to like stick a question in chat, or I can bring you in if you want to ask on Zoom. I'll go to David first. Do you mind if we bring in your audio, David? Hey, David. So you should be on
Um,
the air. You should be on the air. Not your face, but your audio.
oh, beautiful. So, my first question actually was, where do we ask questions for this? Um, because the chat is disabled. Where are you taking questions through YouTube, or how are you managing written questions?
I'm simultaneously so I'm sending my feed over to YouTube. So
So
what's coming
you're
through?
grabbing questions from YouTube. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Okay,
we've
and my
got the
second question.
Ecamm, yeah, Ecamm
Yeah, yeah.
stuff is happening.
So yes, I was watching. I'm a little late. I was watching last week's show, and I saw Beat Sheet Studio,
Yeah.
which is very intriguing. And I'm curious, I joined a little late today, but is there an update on where you are with that and kind of how you're imagining that? Is that going to be the kind of the glue piece to all these disparate projects, or what are you
Absolutely.
imagining?
That was kind of my brainwave, and I sort of announced it like maybe 3 or 4 labs ago. But that was my brainwave. Like, what is the hub? Actually, I think it's BeatSheet. Like, BeatSheet Studio is sort of like the thing that displaces. Oh, you've got to sort of connect. So I went through how you can do this all with video, pencil, camera, shoot, all those things. But with BeatSheet Studio, it'll have a simpler pricing model. It'll have a simpler way to do everything. Much more powerful BeatSheet Stream Deck plugin. Much more powerful stuff going on across the board. But it's more of a hub thing. So that I did mention it at the start of the show. I'm really I'm going to be like I really want to get a beta out for the end of next week. I can unaudio. I'm glad the audio worked, by the way. My Stream Deck button that I created last week worked. I could have just brought his face on there as well. Like he's got his nice camera on, but like we'll do it with audio. That's fine. We yeah, I have I've done like 3 or 4 iterations on how we do the sort of what I'm sharing, how that like is it timelines, is it channels, is it just the way that it's going to help you progress through content. I've been trying to get that to feel simple and not end up feeling like, Ecamm or OBS. I want it to feel like really straightforward, really approachable, really like it makes all the hard decisions for you, but gives you enough flexibility so you can use it in the way that you want. I think I came up with a really good UI for it today. So I just want to get that kind of like nailed down. And then there's a couple of other bits and pieces, but I'm hoping to start having a beta next week. This will be a non-Mac like test flight beta though, so I need to figure out how I'm going to actually run that as well because it's a direct app, and I sort of want to have auto updating and some feedback process. So there's sort of some administrative stuff, but really the thing that's been stopping me has been just having that right UX for the card management for what you're sharing. And today I managed to make it feel simple again, and that was quite exciting. And yeah, so yeah, pretty soon.
building into Beat Sheet Studio, or do you imagine building into Beat Sheet Studio scenes? I mean, you, I guess you call them cards. They're in a sense they're the same thing, but right,
No,
right
no,
now
no,
you're
no, no, no,
triggering
no, no.
scenes in Ecamm or OBS from Beat Sheet. Are you planning on just building that right into Beat Sheet?
No, not really. Like that really like the key has always been like beat sheet is content. So all that stuff that would be fiddly to do in Ecamm, like setting up a new scene just for one title, like setting up a new scene just for one image, like all of that stuff just becomes card content. Um, and I've been trying to avoid it just sort of becoming scenes. It's like you don't have to assemble the scenes. It just kind of like we use best practice and we think about what you're actually trying to do. And so the way I'll work is I'm going to come in with my best guess. A lot of it informed by originally by my conversation with you on the podcast. Um, uh, I'm going to be sort of baking that all in, making that as easy to use as possible, and then working with people and just finding out what people find they can't do and wish they could do, and but sort of taking more of an Apple approach to it. So rather than like it's a complicated configuration thing, it's like okay, no, we kind of know what you're trying to do, and I'm going to design something that answers that question effectively instead of making it like another configuration setting. So this is my vision for it. So yeah, like so I don't want it to just end up although on the other hand I've been like, oh, I could do sort of like a sort of launch pad view with the stream, that you could sort of pre-configure some Stream Deck buttons and like you wouldn't have to go into the Stream Deck editor so much, but I've got to not get carried away with that. But I've been thinking it's like Ableton Live is the music software that you can switch between like the arranger view, which is the linear timeline, and the sort of like beats triggering grid mode. So it's like, do I need a grid mode? Not for the first version, maybe in future, but it's not going to be scenes per se, I hope.
Gotcha.
All
Good
right.
stuff. Congratulations.
Thank you. Tony has your hand up.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Let me take my hand down. And so I wanted to ask, and I think I've asked you this question before, but we haven't talked about it recently since a lot of the updates and improvements that you've made to Video Pencil. And my question is, I use the Shoot app on my iPhone XS Max as my primary camera, and I'm using it right now. It is in the back of a teleprompter, which is kind of inconvenient for me to get up and do anything with it right now. And so I was hesitant to turn my camera on because I feel like I'm a little bit bright and I wanted to make adjustments. And so I wanted to ask, is there a way for me to connect? So I have another iPhone
I should probably bring
that I
your
use the
video into
control
this.
panel.
Yeah, go on, sorry. You have another iPhone that uses
So
Tony's showing it,
I
but we've only got audio, so
I'm showing my iPhone that I use as the control panel for the iPhone that's in the back of my teleprompter.
right.
And it will stay connected while I make initial adjustments to the Shoots app. But the last time I took the iPhone that's in the back of the teleprompter out of the teleprompter was yesterday afternoon. And so since yesterday and today, I need to make adjustments. And so my question is, am I still being required to go to the back of the teleprompter, take it out, reset everything, or because I tried to log back in using Safari into the Squares TV application, and it is not letting me connect.
Okay, so it sounds like you're actually just reporting a bug there where it's not something weird's going on with Squares TV. One question I do have, Tony, is like, why use an iPhone? Why not just use a browser window on the computer you're sitting at? Like, why not just do it in a browser?
Um, I just never thought about it that way.
It's
I
a,
mean, I was using the phone because I had it, and if I didn't have the phone, I probably would have tried to do it with the web browser. So, should I open up Safari?
I think it would, you'd probably have fewer problems if you did use you use your Mac to stay connected. You still may have issues with, like, I I do. You need to just keep bothering me about this. At the end of the day, you need to keep reminding me, like, oh, it's like staying connected, and I need to be forced. Trouble is, I'm like in the midst of like the next thing, and it's easy to sort of let those connectivity things, like, it's really complicated, and I haven't found a way to sort of like reliably reproduce the problem you've had. So like, I'm just sort of reliant on you to like bully me a bit, and keep sort of like badgering me about it, really. Um, but yeah, like, why don't we sort of take this offline? We're nearly at 45 minutes now, actually. So why don't we take this offline, and let's just like regroup, and like, what do I need to do to reproduce this? Can you like give me maybe the step by step that sort of seems to consistently mean it sort of disconnects? Because I just need like steps that let me reproduce what happens, and then it's really easy to fix. But when I sort of can't get it to happen, because it usually seems pretty stable for me, then that's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry that's not more like,
No, that's fine.
yeah.
That's fine. And I know, I hadn't said anything about it in a long time because basically what I've gotten into this mode where, if Conversation Tony Mobley is going to happen, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure everything is set the day before, and that's the way I have a method,
Got it,
a
got it,
workaround.
got it. Okay, we've got a couple more things on chat. So Jürgen says, are you planning to separate text pics you want to share from the text you want to use with the teleprompter? Yeah, those things are separated. So for example, like when you type, so you type all the stuff, that a beat sheet card is your teleprompter notes. But you can also sort of add a title, you can add some bullets, which will show up in the overlays. But that's sort of like almost a separate thing, but it's sort of like built in with it. But if you even put bullets, if you write bullets out in Beatsheet and then you put something in brackets after that, the stuff in brackets won't come up as a title, but you'll be able to see it in your teleprompter. So if you want to like flesh out some notes, have a short bullet, but flesh out some notes afterwards that you'll see in your teleprompter. That's what I do all the time. There's quite a lot of thought gone into the sort of separating those two different things. I don't know about pictures. Something I have thought maybe for the future is, when you see a TV, I'm sort of thinking of like the cue card on TV. So, and there's quite a lot of handwritten, different colors, different things going on. I think at some point a bit of rich text formatting might not be the worst thing for Beatsheet. Like maybe some sketching, maybe you can draw on things, like maybe, a bit more stuff in there. I haven't figured out what that would be yet. I'm keeping it simple for now, but I can imagine in future being able to like have a bit more stuff and color and shapes and sketches on those cue cards could actually be a really useful thing to have as you're sort of like delivering something. Thank you to Elliot. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you're enjoying it. My Canon is deciding to sometimes the camera just decide, look, it knows that we're over time. I think my teleprompter, yeah, okay, we're back. My teleprompter glass does something weird to it. I see, yeah, we can control the font size on Shoot and Beatsheet. I did actually yeah, the font size, if you mean live titles, that's just proportional to how big you drew the line. You can change, I did have a bit of a request for Beatsheet to be able to change the font size. So yeah, you can actually like make the whole app bigger and smaller directly from within Beatsheet. So there's some accessibility stuff there as well, and you can change the size of the text on your teleprompter. You can change the size of the text in the cards. You can do all the different things. I think that's us for today. So if you are interested, well, I haven't really got a call to action figured out that works for the for the live stream and the Zoom call. But what I would say is come to Squares TV and join the Discord if you enjoy this, if you want to contribute more, if you want to be more involved in this community. It's a little growing community. Every week we seem to be getting a lot more emails, a lot more. I'm getting like new people coming to the Discord, and like if I'm not around because I'm in the UK. So I tend to be leaving my desk just as everyone starts asking questions like that. There's people in Discord if that can help maybe when I'm off the clock. And also like we've got channels for feature requests for issues and things like that. So that's a really good place to sort of see if someone else has reported it. You say yes, me too, and hopefully like if I see that stuff coming in, it just gets me to sort of like look at it again. I am reaching a little bit of. I'm feeling a bit overstretched at the moment. But I'm hoping that once Beat Sheet Studio, the first version, is out, I'm going to have a little bit more bandwidth to do some of these the bug fixes and things that have. There's a couple of ones that I wish I could get sorted out, but I'm just really trying to get this new app all together and sort of ready for prime time. So thank you, everybody. Really grateful. It's been another nice call. I was. I see that Tony has done a what do we call that? Live title thanks. What do I call it? I invented a term. Thumbnail thanking. Tony Mobley's done some thumbnail thanking. This is a new term that we've invented here today. Thanks for everyone for joining, and see you in the next one. And if you missed the live show, come and join next time. And take care. Bye bye, everybody.